Hello, my grots and gits. Welcome back to another episode. Today, we are going to talk about the GT from this past weekend where the Orcs went undefeated. And it was really exciting. And we got to figure out how this happened so that we can make more and more repeats of this. Because I need all of you out there crumping constantly. Whether you're playing your Orcs, you bring your Custodes, you bring your world, any of your melee armies, because that's honestly where I really specialize. I want you crumping. So let's figure this bad boy out. All right. So the GT. It was located in Oslo, Norway, which is, where I currently live. And for those of you who don't know where Norway is, it is the little spoon. That's why I put a little map for you. A lot of people confuse Sweden and Norway. Doesn't really matter, actually. But anyway, we had a bunch of really, really fascinating results from this GT, especially considering the fact that, of who was in the top. It was bizarre. There was absolute chaos. It was hosted at 2D6, which is the largest independent club in the entire world. There was a huge shakeup just the week before because it was originally slated to be, I believe, a 64 player GT, and it ended up being a 44 player GT. So we had like 20 drops the week before because of madness that happened. So there was a lot of chaos happening in the ranks. We had most of our WTC team was competing there. We had a ton of really good other people in the tournament as well. And one of the really fascinating results from this tournament was the fact that it wasn't just the WTC team who was in the top ranks. There was chaos. People were getting, you had WTC players who are the best players in the country, without a doubt, who are getting knocked out in round 2, round 3. And I just wanted to take a moment to say this is really, really cool. Because what this means is that a lot of the effort we've been putting forth into making people better competitive players has been working. I know at the club, we've been hosting what we call Competitive Wednesdays, where we invite all of the club members to come out and we just bring beat 'em up lists. We only bring highly competitive lists, and we're drilling missions and we're drilling these things. And a lot of the club members and not club members are actually getting so much better that they're starting to threaten us, who are supposed to be the best players in the country. And it is so freaking cool. So overall in the tournament, I ended second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about my list. I'm going to talk to you about my matchups. And then I'm going to give you a huge surprise because the person who ended up in first will shock the entire freaking world. And we're going to get to that. So what was my path to my victory? I played a ton of great players. I played I had played 3 people who are vying to be on our WTC team right now. Then I played one guy who was just unbelievably improved. Totally shocked me because last time I played him was like a year ago, and holy crap, has he improved. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then I played another guy who was actually quite a good player, but I think his problem is that he doesn't get to play against other great players very often. So he wasn't quite ready to face opponents who were able to take advantage of his small mistakes. So we'll get into that. What was the list? This was my last hurrah with this Ork list, so I'm really glad it went out with a bang. This was my one where I was taking double Def Coptas. I'm going to switch it up after now because I think there's a few things I could do better. So basically, I take Mazrak. He's the tank of distraction. Badruck, everyone knows what Badruck does now. He causes his flash kits to re-roll the hit rolls, and he also actually shoots pretty dang well himself, and he causes a -1 toughness to infantry around him, so it makes the flash kits like a double, triple threat. Then we have the Noblin Smasho with Edward's Kill Choppa. That gives him dev wounds on anti-vehicle monster, 3 up during the wall, 4 up outside of the wall. 1 war boss, he's going to add +1 hit and -1 to wound to his Nob squad at all times. And then I had 2 beast bosses leading my Snaggas. 1 has Follow Me Lads, which makes them go fast. Then I had 2 units of Gretchen, then like the obligatory 1 unit of Knobs with Power Claws, 2 units of Snaggas to shuttle forward those beast bosses, the Squig Hogs, the Flash Kits, 2x3 Def Coptas, which were amazing, by the way. I absolutely love them, and 4 trucks. And I'll also tell you where my pivot is going to be, okay? So let's talk about my very first round. And I think there's going to be a lot that people are going to learn from this. So round 1 was against Inari. When I saw this matchup, this was against my buddy Geyer, who is very heavily considered for the team right now because he has been slaughtering people on Copenhammer, and he's been slaughtering them on Tryhard. He's just been getting 20-0s all over the place. He's a very good player, and I was very worried that he was my first opponent. I was like, crap, I get no buys this weekend, but it was okay. So he ended up bringing the Incarn, Ivrain, because you have to take Ivrain in order to take Inari. And a lot of people aren't super high on Inari, but I got to be honest with you. When you're taking those units of Scourges and each one of those units gets the free reroll to hit and the free reroll to wound, that's actually pretty dang good. It would be nicer if they could keep their pain tokens, but it's not bad at all. 2 units of Shadow Specters. The one choice that he made in his list that I found a little bit questionable was the 10-man blob of Shadow Specters. I think he probably would have had a lot more success had he split that into 2 5-mans, and we spoke about it after the game. The real decider on this game was he was terrified of my Squig Hogs, which I understand because the Squig Hogs are super, super scary. But what he did, because he went first, is he spent round 1 killing my Squig Hogs, where he should have spent round 1 going after my trucks. And because he didn't spend round 1 going after my trucks, I was able to get up the field, stay safe inside of the trucks, so that in my WA turn, I was able to get everywhere I needed to go. And to be fair to him, in his second shooting phase, he did have a pretty big whiff. But I'm pretty sure if he hadn't whiffed there, it just would have been a total score of like maybe 90 to 75 instead of 100 to 64. I don't think it would have, I really fail to see how it would have actually changed the end result, but it would have made it a much closer differential. The big problem here was that he targeted my Squig Hogs. So if you guys are fighting orcs, you need to pop our transports. If you don't pop our transports, you're in for a world of pain, and that's what I would suggest. But anyway, Garrett was an awesome opponent, and he was gave me a huge challenge. I got no warm-up a game today. I just had to jump right into the fire. My round 2 was against Daniel. Daniel is a good player, and he's from a city called Hamar, which is a little bit away from Oslo. So I haven't had the pleasure of playing him before. But this guy, I'm pretty confident is he and his other buddy are probably the best 2 guys in the city. And I'm pretty sure they're the ones who are teaching everyone else because he played quite well. There were a few list choices that I think I have a little bit of criticism for him. And we spoke about it after the game as well, because essentially when I play anyone at a tournament, I more or less just kind of give them a coaching session afterwards if they want it. Just because I like helping people get better, you know? The thing that made this game a little bit challenging for him is he was not prepared for me to take advantage of small movement errors that he makes. And when I'm playing in a GT, because if you guys watched my sportsmanship video a little while ago, it's really important to me. I never punish people for lack of knowledge, but I will punish people for bad decisions they make, if that makes sense. So let's say, for example, he was not aware that my flash get to re-roll hit rolls. And if he moves, he's like, okay, well, I can eat that Overwatch. And then I can re-roll hit rolls. He's like, oh crap, you can re-roll those hit rolls? And I say, yes. He goes, oh, I didn't know that. At that point, I would allow someone to take that move back, even in a tournament, no problem, because he wasn't aware of what the unit could do. However, if someone knows and then they just move thoughtlessly, I will punish them for making a bad decision, but I won't punish people for having a lack of knowledge. So anyway, one thing that he wasn't prepared for was people who were ready to prepare him who were ready to punish him for making a tiny, like, directional error. And that's what it ended up being. So that's where the differential came from. I also thought we talked about the list a little bit. I liked a lot of it. I actually liked the Hecaton Land Fortress quite a bit, to be honest with you. I think he needs a 6-man brick of Pioneers. So if I were him, I would drop one of the Hearthguard units, get that Pioneer squad up to a 6-man, and then maybe shift it around a little bit more. I think one more Sagittar would be really nice as well. So that was my thoughts there. So he was a great opponent. Really enjoyed playing against him, and I'm actually excited to see him again because I'm going to travel to a small RTT over in his city in about a month or so, and we'll get to play again. All right, so in round 3, this was freaking awesome. This was my first time getting to play Black Templars, and I was very nervous because I was playing against my buddy Trolls, who in 9th edition was the guy who basically introduced me to competitive play and was slapping me around. So it was really, really exciting to get to play him here. Now, he has not been able to play a bunch in 10th edition, but he's still a very solid player. The reason why we had such a big score differential here from the 96 to 44, because this was also a win for me, was he deployed incorrectly. The mission that we were playing on was hidden supplies and priority targets, and it was on GW layout 1. Yeah, it was on GW layout 1. So there were really only 2 lanes where he was able to actually move his Land Raider. The top lane and the middle lane. And he chose the top lane for his Land Raider. And I think that was a really big mistake because what it allowed me to do was charge Mazrog into Land Raider turn 1. And because I rolled a really nice charge on that. And that was making me able to trap his army in the top. And then when he charged his Crusader blob into my Squig Hogs, I was able to interrupt, and it was a pretty big differential. So I really enjoyed playing against trolls. It was awesome. I think we got to talk about it quite a bit. His army was actually pretty dang cool. I have not seen that. I actually haven't gotten to play Black Templars this edition, so I was really, really excited to see it. And honestly, man, this list is gross, and I think it has a lot of damage potential in it. It actually looks like a lot of fun to play. I might actually try to play it a little bit because it kind of seems right up my freaking alley. Those Sword Brethren hit like freaking freight trains, and that brick of Crusaders is actually terrifying with that 5 at Feel No Pain. So let's go on into round 4. So right now I'm 3-0. So I go into round 4 and I'm playing against Alexander. Alexander is not on the WTC team. He is a member of a club called DSF, and he has improved so freaking much since the last time I played him. I can't describe how proud of this guy that I am, because last time I played him, he was a very new player, and I think it was about a year ago, and I was just kind of able to move around him. This time, he brought an army that my list was specifically designed to annihilate, and he brought me to a perfect freaking draw. So, Alexander, my hat is off to you. You are amazingly improved. It was so freaking awesome to see that. I am actually stunned that you were able to take this to a draw. So you just did a great job. There were times where dice spiked up and down, but the real decider here was Alexander actually was able to see a move that I missed, and he outplayed me for a moment. So he was able to advance Angron up and over one of my trucks and land in a little area that I didn't see. And so he was able to get a good charge off against my flash kits. And that was it, man. He just absolutely smashed it. So I was so freaking proud of him for the way he did. He put me right on the edge. We ended up a 74-74 perfect tie. Going into this, we were both 3-0 and we were both in the running for first. And so we were so nervous for this game. But yeah, he did freaking awesome. He did knock me out of the running for first. However, it was still such a good matchup that I had a total blast. Well done, Alexander. Last round, we ran into the Necrons, and the Necron player who I was playing here is a wonderful player. His name is Lassa, and he is just fan-freaking-tastic. It was an 88-85. I really thought he had my number going into round 5. I think the error that he made here was he just played a little bit too fast. He had moments where he wasn't ready to... he didn't position himself quite correctly for his pile-ins. So what I was able to do is so my Squig Hogs, for example, were engaged with his Lich Guard blob. And what I did is I charged his Lich Guard squad with my truck. And when I did that, it would force him to pile his Overlord into my truck. So his Overlord, if it wanted to fight, it couldn't pile into my Squig Hogs because the truck was closer. So I was able to manipulate his pile-ins in order to just make it so that he couldn't deal the damage he needed to deal to steal the point. If he had stolen the point a turn earlier, then he would have taken the game. But I was able to manipulate his pile-ins with combat movement. So this is one of the things that I preach, guys. Combat movement is so critical. Last you did an awesome freaking job. I really thought you had me there. I just that me able to get that little pile in there was just it was the correct decision. So I ended up 4 wins, 1 draw, and no losses. This was my undefeated Ork list. And it was an absolute blast. Now, I got to tell you guys something, because this is critical. The guy who won the tournament just broke a world record. A world record. He was the winner, and he was Grey Knights. He is the first Grey Knight player to take a GT, as far as I know. And he did an excellent job. He's a prospect for our WTC team, and this was a pretty good little application that he had, because this was a madhouse of a tournament. So he brought double librarians, the Grandmaster with the Sigil of Exigence, and I believe that's the one that lets you get picked up when someone shoots you and you can teleport away. Drago, of course, 3 Terminator squads, a Strike squad, a Paladin squad, Calidus, and Inquisitorial Henchmen. Now, I'm not entirely sure how he played everything, but he has agreed to come on the channel, and we'll kind of talk about his victory, and we'll kind of congratulate him as well. But yeah, guys, finally, the Grey Knights have done it. They have taken a GT, and Victor did an awesome job, so my hat is off to you, sir. So he was first, I was second, and then Alexander, who was the World Eaters player I fought, he ended up in third, because he ended up winning his last game as well. But I think I had more I either had more battle points or I had a better opponent win path for the tiebreaker. And then lastly, this is the pivot, guys. So this is where I'm moving on to my new list. I love my current list, but I think it does I think it could be a little bit better. So I'm going to try this. I'm not certain this is better, but I'm going to switch to this. And this is the list I'm going to run, I think, until the next data slate, unless I just hate it and want to change again. So it's very similar. It's running Badrock, Mazrog, one beast boss with Follow Me Lad. So I'm dropping one beast boss and I'm adding in an extra war boss. So essentially the big change is I'm dropping a Snaga squad and a beast boss for another war boss and knobs. I'm also dropping both of my Def Kata squads and I'm putting in Storm Boys and War Bikers. This does drop my Bring It down. It also reduces my shooting potential and some of my movement shenanigans that I was able to do. So I think I'm not certain if I'm going to enjoy this, but this is where I'm going to pivot to for a little while. And wish me luck on it as I go through the journey, and I will be updating you guys with its performance and how I'm finding that it plays. I'm going to have to figure out some new like deployment shenanigans because it won't be able to deploy the same way as my old list will. But I'm actually pretty excited for it. So guys, this was my Grand Tournament experience for this past weekend. I went second with the Undefeated Orcs. It was a total blast, and my hat is off to all the amazing opponents. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button, comment, subscribe. You can jump into my private Discord, which is going to be the Happy Company Discord, where we talk about advanced tactics all the time to get you going undefeated in your tournaments. And I can't wait to help you guys. If you want more, you can even book coaching calls with me. I do offer a coaching membership. I'm pretty sure it's the cheapest coaching available for Warhammer in the world. And that's just because, I mean, I love doing it, and it is an absolute blast. So if you guys enjoyed this stuff, let me know, and I will talk to you in the next video, hopefully with Mr. Victor, where we can go over how the Grey Knights finally took down a GT. All right, everybody, have an amazing day. Bye-bye.